The power of routines, applying strategies for at-risk students to online teaching. I am Anita Mysore, Associate Professor, School of Education, Christ deemed to be University, Bangalore Central Campus, India. A microorganism is now the elephant in the room, and it has led to VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. This term was first given by Benes and Nanas in 1985 in their book Leaders, the Strategies for Taking Charge, and it was used in the fall of 1987 by the United States Army War College curriculum. In 2020, VUCA is real and it's pervaded academic life too. And then the shift had to happen. Classes became online. Home becomes class. I have to practice mindfulness. I have to use TPAC, truly technological, pedagogical content knowledge, given by Kohler and Mishra. I watch videos on teaching online resources. I read every piece of information that comes my way about teaching online resources. I deeply search for materials on teaching online resources. Then the seeds are sown. I come across Flynn's article where he says that we have to be mindful of our learners who are all going to be nervous at this time. They will feel a little bit scared. They'll be uncertain. So whatever bit of normalcy teachers can inject into these live online settings is really important. Or for high school teachers, think about an engaging or interactive routine that you always do with your class that you can bring into this new setting. The point is to help students see that we are still a class. Yes, we are in a different space, but there's still some familiarity to what we are doing. Here, my undergraduate students and my first year postgraduate students would still, they can use some interactive routines. And when I read this article, I also had an aha moment where I remembered that in my grad program at the University of Arkansas in multicultural education, I remembered reading of faculty talking about students at risk needing the structure that a school provides when their life isn't so structured. Well, this may be a culturally deprived ideology, but I could use the principle with my undergrads and postgraduate students. I was also drawn to the 7 C's of leadership during the coronavirus crisis given by Quelch in 2020. And I believe that it applies even for faculty leaders. Calm, confidence, communication, collaboration, community, compassion, perhaps not cash. So I looked up at-risk students one more time. These are students who are subject to school failure because of their own characteristics and or because of inadequate responses to their needs by school, family, or community. This quote is from Slavin, Robert E. Slavin of Cooperative Learning Group fame. And these are some of the interventions that are prescribed for at-risk students. Compensatory education programs, well, they were not applicable to my situation. The early intervention program, reading recovery, after school, summer school programs, I could probably adapt the after school program to an after class availability option whenever students needed me. I also began with office meeting hours, but there were no takers. And with the consultation of my students, I wrapped it up. Then, for at-risk students, there are other special programs like buddy system, peer tutoring, cooperative learning groups, and the use of computers. Of course, the use of computers, we are doing it. I started introducing groups with liaisons who would work with me and with the classmates. And in some cases, I used buddy system when a person or two needed real care. So that worked. Then I put my class recordings on the cloud, Google Drive, and my class materials are available on LMS Google Meet as well as on Google Drive. Then the other support for at-risk students that are provided are positive school climate. And what I offered was a safe and supportive learning environment for my students. Curriculum instruction are two other support areas. And the way I offered it to my undergrads and postgraduate students was I am a warm demander faculty. I use critical perspectives in teaching both sociological perspectives of education as well as foundations of multilingual and multicultural education. I offer them a relevant curriculum and I tell them why they're studying, what they're studying in every class. I give them challenging assignments. Well, that doesn't seem like, it's going to work during a pandemic when students are afraid. No. The other support systems are to foster personal, social, and emotional growth. While I put the onus on the learner to learn, I also provide the available scaffolding. My curriculum is structured, I have class routines, and I use what are called online learning support roles. I'll discuss these on the following slides. I build structure into the course by a pre-class welcome email. I got my course plan implementation ready from class 1. I sent a welcome email address with a motivational quote of a renowned and popular Indian philanthropist, chairperson, professor, and engineer, Sudha Murthy. These are unprecedented times that require every section of the society to rise up to the challenge. Again, building structure into the course through my LMS. Before I invited the students to the LMS, I posted a welcome message. I posted course materials, online text, and readings for the first 2 classes. I also provided motivators for them, online learning tips, study skills, leadership skills, personal energy audit, and well-being posters by the University's Center for Counseling and Health Services. Setting the stage for the real class or the online class. I had a welcome presentation. I presented my course plan and course schedule, which were detailed for every class with the readings. I announced my beliefs about teaching and learning and said that there was no such thing as a dumb question. We are on a continuum of learning. We should value confidentiality. It's not all right to blame, shame, or attack oneself or others. We should be aware of intent and impact in our speech and actions. It's all right to disagree, but express disagreement with civility. Thereby, I created a safe zone for students to voice their thoughts and questions. This was a welcome slide that I used with my students. Well, when it comes to the power of routines, I begin the class with a silent prayer, or I say, please bring yourself to the class, be mindful about what we're going to do now. Then I use an icebreaker activity. That's followed by a recapitulation from the previous class in the chat box. Then I facilitate the current class. During the current class, I pose questions for discussions and students can answer via microphone and or use the chat box. We have small groups and large class discussions. Then they work on the asynchronous tasks on the LMS immediately after class for an hour and post their takeaways. Let me talk about the online learning support roles that I offer: facilitator, resource provider, monitor, evaluator, instructor, model, sociocultural enabler, audience, learning broker, encourager, promoter, learner. This is given by these authors in 2016. In my class discourse, I also use dialogic interaction. And some of the dialogic interactions come under these categories: reciprocal, teachers and students listen to each other, share ideas, and consider alternative viewpoints. Supportive, students articulate their ideas freely without fear of embarrassment over wrong answers. They help each other to reach common understandings. Cumulative, teachers and students build on their own and each other's ideas and chain them into coherent lines of thinking and inquiry. Now, the icebreaker activity, which is the crowning glory, I employed it on the premises of in online settings, icebreakers leverage technology to connect all members of an online course across physical distances. Emotional engagement reflects the degree to which a learner is emotionally invested and motivated to maintain and sustain attention and put in effort. It is the fuel for learning and what propels learners forward. The purposes of using the icebreaker activity: I want my students to feel connected with me and their fellow classmates, and I want to enhance the motivation to learn. I begin with a simple question, and then, of course, it begins at the beginning of the class. And I borrowed these ideas from University of Waterloo. Some of the examples of the icebreaker activity I've used: what am I grateful for today? A flower that I would like to be. A tip you're practicing after attending the medical officer session. An adjective that describes how you feel and combine it with what you last ate. A metaphor to express how I feel. To any classmate, what are you thankful for? I used a feedback, I collected feedback on the activity of using icebreakers in a class, and this is the percentage that I have received for the yeses and the nos. I asked them whether my icebreakers create a welcoming and inclusive learning environment for them. 62 said overwhelmingly yes. One said no, and one said sometimes. Some of the open ended responses: yes, especially in the current situation where we are facing a global crisis, an icebreaker helps to lighten the mind and be grateful about one positive thing that happened. Whatever the icebreaker question may be, we are asked to mention it in a positive way. I like that. It's helpful for me. It's like warm up before physical exercise workouts. It helps to come to the mood of the class. Yes, I love it, ma'am. It's fun to have a small activity away from a syllabus. It breaks the monotony and makes the class interesting, removes the stiffness of learning. Even if one is not motivated for the class or feels zoned out, the icebreaker creates an interesting environment for students to actively engage in the class. Yes, it does, with a smiley. I like the way you begin the class during this pandemic times. It makes a lot of sense to me. I had shared this Henry Ford's quotation in my first class: coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, and working together is success. We are keeping together toward progress, and hopefully we will achieve success. Thank you very much.